Puts below VWAP, calls above VWAP. Easy. So I'm oversimplifying this. NASDAQ has the worst day on record this week. NASDAQ has best day on record. Truly, we're in a crash already. That's one way of thinking about it. Sure do hope everyone's having fun today. It's been pretty good. Oh, come on, CTAs. Buy the crossover. Let's go. Cover bid our asses all the way up to 5,600 in one shot. Woo! Nope, keep squeezing. It's not enough bips. Need more bips. Bring my option back to life. Girk is so white? What do you mean? I mean, yes, but what does that have to do with anything? Stop being a racist. Your arms? I don't get a lot of sun. Yeah, so earlier you mentioned like, oh, take a look at GS and show us what you're looking at, right? And so I can kind of show you guys that. Try to walk you through a little bit of what I'm looking at in the data. All right, so yeah, this is last night's, right? But we're looking up here a little bit further out of the money, right? But we're looking at all expirations and we're looking at delta. So, your big important breaks, obviously, are 5,500, at which point we had some positive delta, a little bit negative at 15. That was that first rejection. And then we get another little positive delta slope up to 30, where we hit some more negative delta, right? And that's where we got hung up and consolidated. And then I was looking at this, right? This break above 50. So if we can get this delta, on that break of 50, you see how delta like flattens out, but it doesn't really. So if we zoom in more, so there's actually a little bit of positive delta, 55, 60, and this is our test, right? And then it flips negative again, positive to negative, 60, positive, and then 65, 70, negative, right? And so what you're playing right there is you're playing this delta going out of the money, which the market maker cover bid is going to push up on price. And that was our close test. And then we snapped back right to the negative delta right at close. So yeah, price is attracted to this, but with a little bit of momentum, you can kind of push out and above it. Anyway, so just something to think about there. And that's why I got those like out of the money, that like out of the money position when we broke above 30. Not just because I had like $100 of settled cash left, but also because there was a very real chance that we could test, 50, 60. I wish it happened sooner. The 70 would have printed hard as if it happened closer to 3 o'clock, but it didn't. So here we are. Anyway, so there's that, and then we can take a look at the price action for today. So we did end up hitting that market maker expected move, almost on the nose, right? We got 107 basis points. Market maker was pricing in about 106 last night. And so we got the entirety of that move. And we did surpass the lower expected range earlier today, but only by a little bit. Market makers are good at pricing shit in, aren't they? It's interesting. Anyway, it's almost like they can tell the future. Broke above 55.34 on ES, closed above delta neutral on SPXW. This puts us in a range where there's a bit more volatility. The market maker is going to be more aggressively buying the upside, but if we fall back below delta neutral, which is still very possible, that could be devastating as all of that delta that went in the money falls back out of the money. And so our next big test, 55.62. We did breach it a little bit here, but we did not cross it, and we did get rejected off of it. So a rejection here could pull back 55.34, which would still be bullish. That would be supportive consolidation. If it fails 55.34, we could move down to like back down to like 5,500, 54.87 or so. You smug, handsome genius. Yes. Commodities up broadly. Gold down a little bit, trimming back on the slight rise in dollar, which wasn't very significant. Silver, copper up, however. agricultural commodities up, and oil with a 200-point bounce after bleeding through the first half of the week. Probably oversold, should really be closer to something like 70 right now. And then as the ceasefire talks between Israel and Hamas break down, I would probably expect oil to move back towards the like 72, 74 range. Dixie, stable, found a lower high, or sorry, a higher low, and slightly higher local high. Still needs to get probably back over 101.91. That's a pretty important level. If it does, I would expect dollar to break higher, which means the spread in the carry trade is going to widen. We're already seeing that levered up pretty hard. Short paper getting absolutely stomped on the front end of the curve, while the back end of the curve rises moderately, and that means leverage in the carry going up, right? So that they're shorting the short paper, drive up the or well, cover the cost to carry on the long. So 10-year levered up, not as significantly as the 3 and 6 month, however, and with the slight and almost total uninversion of the yield curve, we have seen the forward returns on volatility once again fall negative, closing the day at negative 5.41%. Move kind of flat. Not too much volatility there, although maybe that's yesterday's print. That is yesterday's print. But probably vol down in move because bonds are largely dropping, and a drop in correlation for today. Skew looks like tail risk hedging slowed down yesterday. Out of the money put buying kind of trimming back a bit, although I expect that to reverse kind of a lot harder after today's price action. Probably a lot of those out of the money puts closed off. 50.49% of the S&P above its 20-day moving average, so breaking just above that median point. But this is kind of interesting. We do have a little uptick in the correlation between VX and cash VIX. Out on the weekly, I don't think that difference is probably going to be very big, but there's still some interest in long vol, and it could be that the bond portfolio managers are buying that dip in volatility, and the next like $70 on SPX have an extremely high chance of reversing, and reversing really hard. It's not until we get back above gamma neutral stably that the upside move sort of looks promising. But remember, JPM collar expires at the end of this month. If we're above gamma neutral by OPEX, we're probably in a good position to push into the collar by the end of the month. So this range will be very important over the next week and a half, because if we fail GN or fail back below DN, that's going to be bad. That's going to probably pull us at least near our lows. And if bulls are able to stably get above gamma neutral into next week, they can push for the collar post OPEX. You calculate it, Maeve. Fubo's doing some weird stuff after hours. Cool. Did you straddle end of day? Well, I have a straddle, but it's at like 55.25. So not quite the end of the day, but close to it. Obviously, the call side of that is doing better, but I figured above 5,500. I went longer calls than puts. And probably will as a trend continues to develop. Longer and longer calls over the next week and a half or so. I'll probably be weighting the call side a little heavier. Fed fund futures trimmed back their pricing of rate cuts today. This is for Fed, but we could look at Jan too, from about 0.85 down to 0.785, but we're still very much in that range we were in when we almost crashed, right? So, I mean, this is still a recessionary pace of cuts, or at least a great amount of fear of a recession, right? Below 75 cuts by the end of the year, that means 3 0.25 rate cuts. Below that, that's a softer landing, right? So, Fed fund futures still pricing in a little bit of a hard landing. If this gets up to 1, that's a hard landing. If we're doing two 50-point cuts by end of year, that's gonna be rough. Hard landing, soft landing. Now PPI can swing this. That is something to note for tomorrow. If PPI comes in flat or negative, that's bearish, very bearish, and that could swing this back. And obviously, indexes would probably follow suit. DFE listens to the stream confirmed. Why is that? Hard Life and Hardlandia. Oh, because Fubo's moving in after hours? Maybe. Ooh, Fubo liquidity turned around at the end of the day. That's neat. Maybe he is. No, the lawyers are negotiating on Fubo. Ooh, okay. Well, if they avoid a drawn out legal suit, that'd be awesome. They just need equitable and fair pricing, right? That's not that hard for Disney to do. They just have to give up a little bit of market share, greedy fucks. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Today was obviously awesome. I know you all made tons of money. Congratulations. I did too. It was beautiful. I will see you all tomorrow when I wake up. Hopefully earlier. I am feeling a little bit better, finally. So I think my fever might have broke last night because I did that thing where I sweated a lot while I was sleeping. So thank you for the stream. Yeah, you got it, man. I don't mind. It's less lonely than trading by myself, I think. Thanks for everything. See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow, guys. Night.